This episode of Wrestling with Egos is brought to you by Audibles. Why Audibles? Because my entire sales route that I had this past week is now no longer my sales route. I have a new one come Monday, and none of my new accounts know anything about it. Audibles, brought to you by Wrestling with Egos and my job. Welcome to the show. Yeah, in case you can't tell, I've had an interesting day. So I may or may not have had a little bit of liquid courage to settle the nerves. May or may not. I cannot confirm nor deny that. I am a beer rep. Keep that in mind. But I am joined here on Wrestling with Egos by the funniest cat in the room, KD. How are you, my friend?
Meow.
Meow.
I'm good. I didn't realise we were outing our issues when we started. My mum's in hospital.
Audibles.
There you go. There you go. We are now on therapy corner.
Yeah, dude. And speaking of therapy corner, let's welcome the smartest guy in the room, Brian.
Smartest cat in the room.
Yes, the smartest cat in the room, Brian. Without going into details,
Meow.
you've had a trying day as well.
It's all about audibles at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm calling them left, right, and center. I'm looking over at the head coach like, look, dude, I don't know what you're expecting of me, but, you know.
Yeah.
Just be a sweaty body.
I mean, you know what? Hey, life is a series of calling audibles.
Yep.
This is so true.
The
I like
title
that.
of tonight's episode is "Flying by the Seat of Our Pants."
I'll drink for that.
I like that too. See,
Cheerio.
amazing things come from, I was about to say from despair then, but that sounds like it's really starting it on a negative point of view.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, let's take that back.
It's not despair. It's just chaos.
Chaos, yeah. About
So
as much
tonight-
chaos as you can expect in an AEW women's division. Some would say.
But
Being-
sometimes from out of chaos, comes some beautiful stuff. And
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is what we're going to talk about tonight, boys and girls. Because tonight, as we've figured it out already, we're talking about audibles. We are talking about those moments in professional wrestling where the business or the storyline or whatever had to change on a dime because of cause and effect. Which cause and effect, one of my favorite terms in the English language. It is a great thing, and the causality of something creating some massive shift in the business by whatever means that is what we are going to talk about tonight. I got a feeling a lot of these are going to be good and positive. Some of them are going to be a little bit negative because I got a couple that are like,
Does
but
it count as pulling an audible if a wrestler shoots another wrestler?
if they what?
Shoot another wrestler. Just checking before we get into it.
Doubtful.
No,
Okay,
I don't know.
we'll get to it, don't worry.
Necessarily an audible. The business didn't necessarily change because of the Pillman incident. I think that's what you're referencing.
Oh, that's not what I was referencing, but
Oh, okay.
I went deep for this one.
That's
Say
going to
what?
be one that, for another conversation that we've been, bandying about, like in pre-show meetings and stuff like that. That's going to be one that I'll save for that conversation.
Yeah.
Are we planning a murder? Okay, cool.
No.
Just as long as...
Say
No,
that.
oh, okay. Oh,
Did not
wait,
say
yeah.
that. For the record, I did not say that's what we're doing,
Wink.
sir, and I will not have you put words in my mouth, or
That is
anyone else for that matter.
Guys, that's a different podcast. That's not even Wrestling with Egos. There's another section in all of your podcasting platforms, whether it be on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon, any of those.
Prime,
Yeah. There's a section for that, for
Does
those types of podcasts. And this ain't it.
YouTube podcasts as well? No, that's a new thing.
Yes.
Mhm.
But this ain't it. This ain't. I repeat, this is not the forum for that type of podcast.
Oh, you told me now.
So I'm going to throw out the first major audible that I want to throw out, and it's a positive. And I think, to me, as far as WWE, it's one of the biggest audibles that they've had to call in a positive way.
Okay.
Daniel Bryan.
Oh, of course.
He is on the
Daniel Bryan winning the title at WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
To me, that is one of the biggest instances where the audience forced WWE's hand.
Yeah.
Because the uninitiated, the original plan was, Daniel Bryan, you're a good hand and everything like that. You're a B-plus player, that kind of stuff. But they thought, erroneously, I'll put in there, that the return of Batista and, Randy Orton for the 264th time was going to be enough to placate the fans. And
Yeah.
it wasn't.
What a shock that was.
I gotta
Because
be
that
honest.
iteration of Batista, by the way, sidebar.
Say what again?
That iteration of Batista, horrible.
That was the
God,
iteration of
Couldn't have
Batista
looked
when
like
every
Red
time he
Side.
did anything, I was worried that he was going to pass out, like he did on the way to the ring.
Yeah, he had the
before.
blue Batista with the blue trunks at one point. Then he had the army green trunks, and he had
Yeah.
Came out in the skinny jeans, and I'm like, what am I watching here? What happened to you?
Yeah.
My best Todd Pettengill impersonation. What happened to you?
Yeah. See, for me, I was shocked about Batista because of how over he was in the past. And now you're gearing up for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. And, this is going to be really cool. I did not expect him to get Dominic Mysterio level boos.
It's because of how Vince McMahon pushed him, man. Like they thought they were giving him good shit. That's why they put him in the main event.
I did not oh my God. Okay, Batista's coming back. You have any former champion on that level come back? It's usually, for God's sake, Triple H got cheered when he came back from tearing his quad. And Triple H was a bastard when he got injured. I'm thinking, okay, cool. Batista's going to be number 30. Yeah, we're all expecting it. But they're still going to cheer him. Nope, they did not.
Because everybody, throughout all of this, anyone that wasn't Daniel Bryan was just getting it in the neck. Like that Royal Rumble when Rey Mysterio, he's never been booed like that.
Oh, my God.
I think it was Rey, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Rey that came out at 30 that year and just got... Because it was Philadelphia. It was the Philly Rumble that Roman won.
Rumble, yeah.
Roman won.
I think for me, the moment that I realized that the office, as it were, was going to go along with the storyline was that Occupy Raw night.
Yeah, and they completely ripped that off.
Yeah.
You know where they got that idea, don't you?
No.
There was a very failed. But there was a groundswell, like a grassroots campaign a couple of weeks prior when Raw was in Chicago. And there were people on social media trying to organize this live on TV protest that when the Authority got in the ring, everybody would just turn their backs on them and just face the other direction. And
that'd be cool.
It would have been cool, but you literally saw like one or two people turn around, and it was like, yeah, that really worked. To the point, I remember seeing this. To the point, Triple H actually made fun of it on Twitter. And it wasn't a work. It was a shoot, brother. They did that.
Just to interject, was that definitely the Royal Rumble where Roman Reigns won? Because how did it then go to Randy Orton and Batista?
Different years.
Yeah, we're because this whole movement started.
It went over a year, didn't it? And then it culminated with 30. Okay.
So three separate manias. Because keep in mind, it started with Daniel Bryan losing to Sheamus in 16 seconds.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the Rumble the next year, and that is when he had that feud that was going on with Bray Wyatt.
Yes. Which is one of the best feuds Bray's ever been involved in, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. So that was that year. He had a match.
That crowd work bit.
Right.
That,
He had a match, beat Bray Wyatt, and everybody still expected him to be in the Rumble because, you know, people pull double duty in the Rumble all the same time.
yeah.
Roman came out in the late 20s. Ray was 30, and Ray got booed.
Yep.
Like his son does now.
Well, it took him another year still after that. That's crazy.
And then the next year, correct me if I'm wrong, but he wasn't even in it. I don't know.
I don't. No, I think he was. I think he just got eliminated, didn't he?
You got eliminated early, like
yeah. No fanfare.
I think we're mixing them up because the year Roman won, he got eliminated. Daniel Bryan got eliminated super early. That was the year after.
No, the year Roman won. Wait, no.
You remember Triple H won one as well.
Title picture. Don't forget, it was Orton versus Batista versus Daniel Bryan at 30.
Right.
31
was the cash
wound up being Lesnar versus Roman. That was the year that Daniel Bryan got eliminated in like he came out at number 10 or number 11 and got eliminated almost immediately.
But let's rewind this. 29 was Rockin' Cena. Rockin' Cena for the title at 29.
Yes.
Twice in a lifetime.
Right.
Twice in a lifetime, baby.
And then 28 was
Cena Miz.
No, that was 27.
That was 27.
28 was the one in Miami when Daniel Bryan lost to Sheamus in 16 seconds.
Yeah.
So our point is, you know, our timeline may be a little bit off, but our point is there was a groundswell that was building. Because the fans realized before anybody else did what a great professional wrestler Daniel Bryan is. And, you know, we see who you're trying to force us to root for. Because I can't say this any better than Adam Blampier did on one of his How Adam Would Book videos. In fact, it was a Roman Reigns video. And he talked about WWE until very recently has always been a one-man show. There's one guy at the top. There's not multiple players unless someone forces your hand. Because it was Bruno in the 70s. It was Hulk Hogan in the 80s. There was Flux in the 90s, but then you came back around to John Cena. And now, obviously, Roman Reigns is their guy.
See, John Cena, not so much, though. Because he was obviously the top one. But I'd still argue, as we were talking about before, Batista and Randy Orton are still, you know, big too.
My point, Adam Blampier's point, was it's still very much, you know, here's the person you're going to root for. Here's the person.
Yeah, one big face, actually,
main event after main event.
Other people had the title, but Cena was the flagship.
Right.
Yeah, he was the face as well. The other guys
dares to organically like force their way into the conversation. They don't know how to call an audible. They don't know how to, you know, say, hey, what's wrong with having 2 or 3 top guys? Why do we only have to have one? That's because WWE doesn't know any differently until now.
Yeah.
You mean like LA Knight right now?
Right.
Yeah.
But I think other promotions get this a little bit differently. I mean, that's why New Japan, for example, is the perfect example. Yeah, Okada's been the guy for so long, but then you had Kenny Omega, and you had Hiroshi Tanahashi before them, and you had, I just had a name.
Nakamura.
Yeah, Shinsuke before them, or in and around there. You had all these different people cycling through. You know, lots of people to root for, lots of people to choose from.
But I would argue that Kenny Omega was never the guy.
That's fair.
In New Japan,
so he's not going to be.
Right. He was the guy that American fans and European fans got behind, but he wasn't the guy. That's been. Let's be honest. The guy in New Japan, it went Nakamura, Tanahashi, Okada, and it's still Okada.
Yes. With a little sprinkle of Kota Ibushi thrown in there for him.
Yeah, well, tiny sprinkle of Kota Ibushi. But everybody else there is either old, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm making an issue out of anything, but they're
You
either old,
young person, how dare you?
they're either old, or they're white.
Well, I'll bring up another one, and this is one of the ones that I'm not sure if it constitutes an audible.
Okay.
But I go back to WrestleMania 18, and I wonder if Hogan and Rock, when they were sitting down to think about how the match is going to go, brother, did they take into account the fact that we're in Toronto and this is Hogan country and that kind of stuff? Or was it going to go another way until they got out there and thought, oh, crap, we got to roll with this?
Yeah.
I literally just listened to a playback of Bruce Pritchard's podcast talking about 18. Bruce Pritchard said there were 5 guys in the entire company that knew what was about to happen. Hogan, Vince, Bruce, and he mentioned a couple of other people. They were the only ones that saw it coming.
I mean, I can say that.
So
Say that now, you know.
Yeah, but no, that was 1,000% an audible.
Okay.
I need to I need to step off for just a second, okay? I'm muting everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely inaudible, just for the fact that you can't know that was going to happen for sure. You know, you just have to. You can have an idea that it might do, and have a plan if it does happen. You know, but
because that was when I was starting to get back into watching it for real again. You know, because my origin story has been done to death on this show, and I won't bore you to tears with all of it. But I watched as a kid, came away from it because didn't have access with blah blah blah. But around WrestleMania 17, 18, 19 was when I got back into it because I was out on my own by that point. I could afford cable. I could do all this stuff. I had access to the pay-per-view events and stuff like that. And in the run-up to that WrestleMania, Vince brings the NWO back, and they're doing everything they can to be dastardly heels. But at the time, I didn't realize this, but watching those events back now, I realized that nostalgia, that undercurrent of nostalgia creeping in, because they remember fondly the original NWO brother from WCW, and then older people than them remember Hulk Hogan's running wild, Hulkamania's running wild, you know, and saying your prayers and your vitamins and your training and all that.
Yeah.
And even when he was doing all those dastardly things with Hall and Nash, there was still an undercurrent. No matter what town they would go to, there was still an undercurrent of cheers. And when they got to Toronto, we all know how over Hogan was every time he went to Canada back in the day.
WrestleMania 6, enough said.
Yeah. I had no clue. Like, you know, I was young still.
So that look of bewilderment on Rock's face, for sure, as they're doing, you know, as they're just kind of basking in the crowd. I think at that point they kind of might have, you know, their first like lockup or something like that. They might have said, "Let's ride this wave or something as long as we can, and let's just call it as it goes." So,
if you think about it as well, that face at the time, it was like he seemed so genuine. If you think about it now, that's the face he always pulls in his films. That's his dramatic look. The Rock's like,
yeah, you're not wrong. But
it's good. No hate
at the time.
but here,
no hate at all, yeah.
But here's something to consider in terms of that audible. What happened after was the audible. They turned Hogan back to the yellow and red. And then they put the undisputed title on him.
Yeah.
That could have been the plan just from like, because would they just do that from one reaction? Do you know what I mean? So, like you said, it would already been a swell up.
That kind of reaction would have translated from one crowd to the other. Because if you see, if you see a crowd the night after WrestleMania that is cheering a guy and they won't let him speak because they don't want to stop cheering him, well, when you go from when you go from the night after WrestleMania to Birmingham, Alabama, guess what?
Oh.
Well, I mentioned that because it's a much smaller city.
Yeah, everything's smaller than my Birmingham.
I don't
Even
know
the
about that.
people's willy sizes are smaller. Yeah, you heard me, Birmingham, Alabama. What? Continue,
Anyway,
sorry.
but it's going to translate from one crowd to the other.
Yeah.
So that kind of just, that kind of catches fire and continues to go and so on and so forth. So yeah, definitely an audible.
I should put. Do you want me to go into one of mine?
Yeah, because after you do that one, I'm going to be a little bit of a bummer on my next one.
Right.
That's not how you're supposed to talk about gay people nowadays, Patrick.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
It makes sense. Think about it. Here, go
But
back. Okay.
yeah, the one I'm going to bring up next it's definitely an audible, but not necessarily a good one.
Okay. I've got
I might know. Maybe not.
I bet you don't. I bet you think you know where I'm going, but I bet you're wrong.
I'm going to write it on the card.
Okay.
Katie, regale us, please.
So I was just reading up on it then. So there was a match on February 3rd in the early 2000s. It was on SmackDown. It was the New Age Outlaws versus Perry Saturn and Eddie Guerrero. The Radicals, like, this is just when they've come in. Where exactly is it?
Does this involve an injury?
Don't think so.
Okay, because as soon as you mentioned that, I'm like, oh god.
Oh wait, yes, sorry, yeah, you're right. Actually, it does indeed. This is when Eddie Guerrero went for frog splash and he dislocated his shoulder.
God.
Popped that mud out right out of his arm. I had some toys.
Second time in my life, I threw up watching wrestling.
Oh really? Okay.
Because you saw it, and it's just.
You know what? I can't even think about that. I might try and watch it in the back here.
I don't even know if they might have switched camera angles or gone a different shot, but I remember seeing it and just going, "Oh God!" I've only barfed twice watching wrestling, and they were both gruesome. The other one, for the record, was Sid.
I was gonna say, is it Sid?
Yeah,
that's a fair one.
It's Sid. And for the record, that's not Eddie Guerrero isn't the only time I've thrown up seeing someone's elbow get dislocated. When I was a sports writer back home, covering a Friday night game, I saw some poor kid get tackled out of bounds and his elbow just went right in front of me. I'm no more than like 8 feet away from him. I see it pop out. I just turn around.
Okay.
Not for the faint of heart.
But yeah, I agree with you on that one, because the Radicals were set up for something, and then Guerrero's injury happened, and
I never knew why he was in a sling for most of the spring. And now
he dislocated his freaking elbow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see that again. I'll find it now.
Became a great place to hide a lead pipe, though.
Yeah, it did.
I remember that happening quite a bit.
It definitely did. So, Katie,
it flops about, man. Oh,
I told you.
He let the bounce when they did it in slow motion. He put his arm up and it's just flopping for that millisecond.
I told you.
Oh, that's not nice.
No, that is not.
That is not fun.
Here's mine, because it not only derailed a push, and outside circumstances not only derailed a push, but it ended a career.
Oh.
Muhammad Hassan.
Definitely not what I thought you were.
You were thinking Benoit, weren't you?
No.
Oh, what were you thinking?
I thought Owen Hart and Austin.
Oh, yeah. No.
I mean, we don't need to spend time talking about that one, because I have other ones that I think are more ripe for discussion. But yeah, Muhammad Hassan.
What point was the audible?
Plans for him.
Yeah.
Katie, what was the question?
So I was just saying, at what point was the audible then, would you say?
So for me, I say the audible on that was because there was a there was a moment leading up to, I want to say it was the Great American Bash. He had a feud with Undertaker, and he was on top of the stage and kind of did like a Muslim prayer pose.
Yeah.
Like like I can't remember
They
exactly.
carried him off, didn't they?
But then guys in black ski masks and stuff came down, beat the crap out of Taker, and then they carried him out. And then a couple of days later was the
7-7.
bombing. No, it was the bombing in the underground in London.
Yeah, 7-7.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. You guys have a date for that. Date for that as well. My
Yeah,
apologies.
and it was a SmackDown, and it hadn't aired. It was taped.
Right.
They were taping SmackDown.
Right. So because of all of that, they get to the Great American Bash, and it's a 4.5-minute destruction of Muhammad Hassan, and he's never seen again.
Undertaker fixed racism.
Yeah, pretty much. But that, to me, massive Audible, because outside circumstances caused WWE to pivot, and that pivot ended a career.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, the guy that played Muhammad Hassan went on to do acting and stuff like that. Ironically enough, not even an Arab American. He was an Italian.
Yeah. You can tell that he wasn't like Arab or anything like.
That ended his career. He couldn't go anywhere else because that's still Muhammad Hassan.
Yeah, that's what he'll get pegged as all the time. Well, Davari managed to get away from it in somewhat manner,
Yeah.
Because he was there too.
Because Davari wasn't the one doing, wasn't the one orchestrating that attack on the Undertaker.
Yeah. He was still involved. He was, he was the middleman. He was the broker, as we talked about earlier. He was getting it done for the man.
Yeah. And he went on to be, a manager of Mark Henry and a couple other people, and then an X Division champion.
I think isn't he in AEW as well now?
I think he is.
Or WWE, one of them.
No, Davari's in WWE. You're thinking of Sanjay Dutt.
Oh yeah, Sunday Josh.
Yeah, Sanjay Dutt's in AEW. Sean Davari is in.
Tell me who I'm thinking.
WWE. Arya Davari, his younger brother, is in AEW.
Don't tell me I'm confusing the Asian wrestlers.
Anyway.
Put damn words in my mouth.
Yeah, for me, that was a massive Audible because, like I said, it killed a career.
Yeah.
So, who's got another one? Preferably something a little bit more lighthearted than that one.
What do you guys say about the first one-night stand with Rob Van Dam and John Cena? Or did they know that John Cena was just going to get mercilessly?
Yeah.
If you didn't know that Cena was going to get booed out of that damn building, you don't know wrestling.
I'd agree with that, to be fair, yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't know, Cena was going to get massacred by that crowd. I don't think anybody expected that level of massacre, but he was going to get his ass kicked. He was going to get his ass verbally kicked by those people. I mean, I don't think anybody expected that the T-shirt to get thrown back 3 or 4 or 5 times.
That was beautiful, though.
Some guy wipe his butt with it.
Cena did well through all of that as well. It can't be, like people forget how well Cena did through all of that.
Oh my
keeping
God.
it together in that atmosphere,
And as much of a wrestling fan as Cena was, and he has admitted in the past, massive ECW fan.
Yeah.
For him to not crack a smile during all of that.
But he has some sarky smiles, so.
Yeah, well, there's snarky expressions.
Yeah.
And then there's trying to Jimmy Fallon your way through a segment.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, I understand completely now.
He's not trying to stifle a laugh. It's just like, okay.
Yeah,
but it's
or
not
fake
just
laughing
like,
non-stop.
This is funny.
Yeah. I get that.
But for him to stonewall that was impressive. Because I would have been laughing I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, this is magical.
It was good.
So
I reckon that they always had that plan personally. I don't think that would be an audible.
I think for me, I don't think that was an audible. I think that was literally first page out of the playbook. Cena's going to get the crap booed out of him. RVD's going over. RVD's going to win it because keep in mind, they were
ECW.
also about to launch ECW, well, WWE ECW.
Yeah.
And when Rob won that match, they declared Rob the new ECW World Heavyweight Champion.
And if you don't fully remember it, thinking, why don't I remember this lengthy reign that RVD obviously had as a WWE/ECW champion? It's because he had a little bit of car trouble with Sabu. That's all we can say about it.
At the Canadian border, because there's certain things that RVD is all about, and you're not supposed to bring across the international borders. Yeah.
But personally, I've said this all along. I think drugs are bad. Okay, just outright.
Drugs are bad.
And the people looking at me on video obviously know I'm being serious about this too.
Yes, drugs are bad. Okay.
Continue.
Anyway, moving right along.
I've got another one like that, which is more of a question of, because I've got some other ones which are like mid matches, you can't argue that they're audibles, but another one in that same kind of vein as Brian just did. What about the heist of the century? Was that an audible that they called during the match or beforehand? Well, apparently I've got the apparent story here.
Okay.
Okay, let me find that. I just had it a second ago. Okay, so heading into WrestleMania 31, Brock Lesnar was the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I don't need to read all that, do I? The original plan was to have Reigns beat Lesnar and win the big one, but it was changed during the event itself, apparently. After Seth Rollins lost to Randy Orton, he was informed then that he would be cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. Apparently. So, a good couple of hours at the most.
So, I don't know if I would consider that audible or if I would just consider that a certain madman just, changing his mind, thinking that it would be good shit, pal.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, we have a lot more audibles to talk about. But I mean,
yeah, before Raw every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still think that might be an audible though.
I don't. I don't because that.
I mean, even considering the stage, I mean, we're not talking about capital punishment. We're talking about WrestleMania 31.
Would it be an audible then if they just, in theory, if they did call it while they were in the ring, seeing about how bad the reaction was because I remember that match, people were not into it until Seth Rollins came down because he was in it for a good 5 minutes still.
Yeah, no, that match
before the end.
That match was stale.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, that might be the case. But I got to be honest, I like the narrative that was planned from the word go because that just makes it that to me makes the cash in cooler.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, until we know for certain, that's the story I'm going to stick to.
Sure.
We drew it up that way.
I would like to do, but I just can't bring myself to give Vince McMahon that much credit. I'm sorry.
No, I won't give him credit. I'll give Bruce that. I'll give Bruce credit for that.
Okay, you might have a better.
Actually, you know what? Pat Patterson was still alive. That's Pat Patterson.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
we will give Pat Patterson credit for that one.
Okay. I'm always up giving Pat Patrick, Pat Patterson.
Or there was somebody else that was working for WWE that's also has an amazing mind for the business at that time. Because no, never mind. Because that was WrestleMania 31. Dusty was already gone.
I've got one here that will definitely, in my opinion anyway, count as an audible. So it'd be interesting to get you guys' opinion.
What's that?
So leading up to it, WrestleMania 25 in 2009, Chris Jericho faced Jimmy Snuka, Roddy Piper, and Ricky Steamboat 3-on-1. 3-on-1
Right.
handicap match, and Jericho beat them all. And then I'd forgotten this though, that at Backlash the following month, he had a match, Steamboat and Jericho.
That was an audible because nobody expected Steamboat to still be that good.
Right. That
was an audible.
one of those hidden
I was in that match.
They made that match for Backlash because, oh shit, Steamer can still go.
That arguably, yeah. See, for me, like, I think I look at an audible more as like more of the more last minute it is, the more of an audible it is. So one's during the match, because the third match wasn't on TV.
For me, what you just described, that is an audible. But something like, okay, we didn't see that coming, so let's do something with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh crap, Ricky Steamboat's old ass can still go. Let's do something with this. That's an audible.
Yeah, I see that point. I just hadn't thought about it like that before. I think they're both, like, a lot of them are audibles, really.
I agree.
It's going to take on all kinds, gents, too, don't forget, because a lot of the examples we've mentioned so far fall into specific categories. They fall into crowd reaction. They fall into, somebody getting hot that you didn't count on. They fall, and then Ricky Steamboat's example is we didn't know what we had until we actually saw. Sure, he trains and everything like that, but the fact that he was in there and moving, smooth like butter,
able to go.
Yeah.
That wasn't their last match though. They had another match at a house show, like a couple of weeks after Backlash. That was the one where the actual audible was that I was on about. They were having the match, and Jericho decided mid-match that Ricky Steamboat was going to beat him, and proceeded to do it.
I remember that. I remember that story.
Okay, yeah, I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah,
it makes
Jericho was straight up like, nope.
Yeah,
I'm taking the loss here.
That's cool though, giving him one at least,
Well, I mean,
I believe that is old Jericho.
Yeah, he totally would do that, especially because it's freaking Ricky Steamboat. I mean, if I don't care how great of a wrestler I am, if I'm in the ring with Steamboat and Steamboat can still go, I'm jobbing the Steamboat.
Yeah. He's got I'm pretty sure he was a big influence on Jericho as well, weren't he?
He totally was. I mean, Steamboat was an influence on just about every high flyer, because he was one of the people in the early to mid '80s that showed you how it was done. Him and Savage specifically.
Yeah.
So
they're the ones I'm interested to watch from the older ones.
I've got one that I'm going to throw out there, and I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying I don't think this was an audible. I think this was planned from the word go. Kofi Mania.
Depends from what point. What
I
do you
agree
mean?
with you, especially because we had already seen it with Daniel Bryan in the poetry of it can't be ignored, because now Daniel Bryan's the one on top with the WWE Championship, and Kofi's in chase mode. And yes, he got the spot a little bit by accident with Mustafa Ali's injury, so he was put into the chamber match. But then, all those segments, the tag team gauntlet match and stuff like that, and then Vince out there in the ring actually saying, I'm not sure that you can get it done, so I don't want to,
Because here's the thing. Keep in mind what WrestleMania that was. That was New York, whatever number that one was. They already had two big matches that mattered more to WWE than that match. Their focus was on Rollins, Lesnar, and Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda.
Yeah.
So when, in my opinion, Ali getting hurt Ali getting hurt
wasn't the catalyst.
left an opportunity, and like, okay, now we need to do something that's going to give our fans something to latch on to and get behind. What about Kofi winning the title? Done.
Yeah, that's definitely an audible anyway. Yeah,
I
because
don't necessarily
it
think
was from.
that's, to me, that's not an audible.
Oh,
That's just okay, we have multiple decisions we can make here. Which one do we want to make? Who do we want to put the title on and have a feel-good story? Kofi.
Yeah.
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
yeah,
I don't call that, I wouldn't consider that an audible. I would if Mustafa Ali was gonna be the guy, but he
yeah.
wasn't.
I was just thinking actually, you're right on you, because Mustafa, for it to be an audible, truly, you'd have to believe that Mustafa Ali was going to win. Because
Right.
did Kofi win the chamber as well?
No.
No.
No, I'm trying to remember, what was that then?
Uh
Was that a chamber for the other title at the
I
time?
no, I want to say it was for the title.
Was it?
Yeah, because Daniel Bryan eliminated somebody. I mean, he might have eliminated Kofi last, for all I know.
You
Yeah,
might be
it
right
was for the
actually.
title. That's right.
Because there was the picture of them consoling Kofi on the steps of the chamber, and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The
So
match, the
it would be
chamber match.
after that then, wouldn't it? If you were going to say it was an audible, it would be after the match at some point, like
Yes.
a week later. But I know what you mean now. That's more debatable now.
Well, I mean, we went. Kofi was the last guy, and then the next week we start that. Nope, that was planned.
Yeah, it's just smart storytelling, and
Great storytelling.
even if it wasn't as well, and they just clocked onto it that quick and kind of shifted because that's the kind of point where they would start a new story anyway. So it's not even audible; they'd be starting something at that point anyway, wouldn't they? So
Yeah, they wouldn't be
yeah,
shifting gears on that one.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for me,
I'm gonna give you one more.
all right, and I got one more as well.
Same.
And it just popped into my head, and you might say, okay, well, Brian, you're reaching on this one because of the man and the mind that he has for wrestling.
Okay.
And this is one I'm going to talk about a character as opposed to a match or an injury or anything like that.
Okay.
Would you consider The Fiend an audible?
No.
Or would you consider that Bray had this, had this trove of creative in his own brain the way other guys do, the way CM Punk does, the way Bret Hart did, the way,
I see that as Bray's a genius. Let's see where this goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, this is good. Okay, we're going with it. Because keep in mind, this is Firefly Funhouse all the way to SummerSlam, where Finn gets absolutely massacred. And then you lead into several months down the road where the Fiend beats Rollins for the title in Saudi Arabia. It wasn't that long of a time frame.
No.
They saw they saw
Yep. We have a frozen Patrick.
And then he froze. I don't want people to ever know what he saw. It's unfortunate.
Okay. Well, hopefully it will sort out then, and
Yeah,
it will get
hopefully
back.
he'll. Yeah.
Um.
Do you have another one, KD? Because
Well,
immediately the Fiend just popped
hey,
into.
there we go. Hey,
there you
how's
go.
it going, guys?
What did they saw? What did they see? Because that's where we lost you.
I don't know either. So I have a very crappy connection. So never mind. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh,
At the moment, you
My
are. Come back.
my signal's getting a little wonky. So I gotta go to the Spectrum store and switch out my modem tomorrow. Because
Ah.
this one I'm on the phone with tech support and they're saying, sir, the modem in your house is 7 years old. you need to take this to the Spectrum store and switch this out. We'll do it for free. I'm like, okay.
It happened to
I
us.
didn't do it.
Like
Yeah.
I want to
So
say
anyway,
5 years ago, but keep going.
where was I?
They
We were
saw
talking about the Fiend. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
trying to remember
Okay.
myself. Like,
They saw what was on the Firefly Funhouse, and they saw everybody's reactions to it, and they saw people's reactions to it on shows like Wrestling with Egos, where I'm,
yeah.
me, Brian, and RJ literally broke down every Firefly Funhouse segment for months.
Yeah.
that went
And
to
Brian talked. Sorry, but the sound you're hearing is Brian getting thrown under the bus. Brian talking about how he hated it, and
Oh,
RJ and I looking at him like he farted in church.
I was about to say then, at least you guys have a positive reaction to it then, because
well.
obviously I wasn't around then, but I loved the
I'll eat
Firefly
my
House.
crow. You can bake the crow at 350 for an hour and a half, and I will take a fork and knife. I mean, I just didn't. It's that kind of stuff that I just, as a wrestling fan, I don't get at first
Right.
blush. It's not the stuff I gravitate towards, but when I finally say,
Yeah.
okay, forget about the artifice and forget about this and that. Listen to what he's saying. Look at
And
all
you
the
still lost.
illusions to people on the screen, and look at the send-ups of these characters that he's doing. And by the time the match with Cena happened at WrestleMania 36, I
That
mean,
was great.
God.
you find something new every time you watch it.
That match, the Firefly Funhouse match, was the example of. That was almost like, because a lot of the pandemic era, you could argue, was a lot of audibles,
Thank
just
you.
in general.
That's where I was going.
Ah.
I mean, we decried the
WrestleMania.
pandemic era wrestling, to no end, but a lot of brilliantly mad stuff came out of it.
That was what, WrestleMania 36, correct?
Yes.
That entire show was an audible.
Yeah.
That's fair, man, to be fair.
Because, granted, everything else, everything else in that show went the way it was supposed to. Drew beat Brock, Charlotte beat Rhea, etc. KO beat Rollins, etc.
Drew beat Big Show.
Huh?
Yeah, but
Drew beat Big Show.
Drew beat Big Show, yes.
The
But
true main event of WrestleMania 36, such as
3 matches on that show had to be completely done differently.
Yeah.
The last man standing match between Orton and Edge, and then the 2 matches from WrestleMania 36 that everybody freaking remembers: the Firefly Funhouse and the Boneyard, because you had to do the Boneyard match dead right, because that's probably it for the Undertaker.
I think that might have been the one. I think that one might have always been the cinematic, because cinematic matches were an idea before that. They just hadn't been done in WWE much, but Taker never wrestled again after it, and he already knew at that point he was done. He couldn't do it anymore. He actually started to accept it.
That match wouldn't have happened any other way except in the ring without COVID. That match,
it was Styles,
and not only that, I defy you to tell me I'm wrong on this. That match goes on last.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm just thinking, like, with Styles, he is somebody that is like almost perfect to make Taker look good. And I could see Taker thinking he could do it, and it shouldn't go on last. But you might be right.
Absolutely goes on last, because I'm sorry, but Vince likes to say that no one is bigger than the WWE, and to that I have 2 words for you: bullshit.
Yeah.
The Undertaker is a character that transcends wrestling. Undertaker at his last match, because with AJ, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, so this would be his last match then.
Yeah. Well, everybody pretty much knew that was it.
Hope
and
so.
that match would have gone in the ring, would have been it, and there would have been some grand, beautiful send-off for The Undertaker at the very end. Much like they did with Roman, except he's going to ride off into the sunset on this one. Much like John Wayne, much like he did on the motorcycle in that beautifully done cinematic match. But those two matches were done as a full-blown audible because they couldn't come up with anything that couldn't be done in front that without having an audience in front of it. You know, Cena and Bray needed to be in front of an audience. If not, we get this. AJ and Undertaker absolutely had to be in front of 80 some odd thousand screaming lunatics, because I don't care who's facing the Undertaker at that match. That person is the devil.
Yeah. To be fair, I think another one as well. I'm assuming you'd probably take as it too. There was a wasn't there like a 3 or 4 tag team ladder match that had to end up being like just one member from each team?
No, well, you're right, because multiple people in that match ended up with COVID.
Yeah, or had been were on isolation or something.
One of the twins ended up with COVID. No. The twins did not.
But I think Kofi was the only one from New Day, if I remember correctly. I think
you're right.
There was one of Angel Garza and Humberto. I don't remember which one was in it.
The Miz was sick.
Who was he in the tag with?
It was Morrison in the ring, wasn't it?
Oh, okay. Morrison, yeah. That sounds about right for this time. Yeah.
Either the Miz was sick, or the Miz had got, or that's when the Miz had his knee injury.
I think it was more of a COVID thing.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another good case of an audible. But honestly, you can make the argument that entire friggin' show was one.
Yeah. I think
they had to do something to make that WrestleMania memorable and not be a complete and utter drag. Drag because, well,
2 nights as well
without a crowd.
Having to fill that time slot for 2 nights as well without all the pomp and circumstance.
So but honestly and truly, looking back on it, that WrestleMania, for what it was, wasn't half bad.
Yeah. A lot of the Thunderdome.
There were some matches on there that were but there were, the match with Goldberg Strowman beating Goldberg was kind of like, okay. But Drew and Brock was a good match. KO and Rollins stole the show. Shocker there. I think I predicted that one too. I seem to be really good at predicting the match is going to steal the show at WrestleMania. Because I seem to remember a certain chap from across the pond, Pip Cheerio, that told me I was out of my mind with that tag team tag team showcase.
Oh,
that was not going to steal the show. And guess what? A couple weeks ago, when I mentioned on this show that we all missed our predictions of the Bloodline, missed it by that much. Nope. Drilled it.
I would still say that that tag team one, it was one of the best matches on that night, but it didn't steal the show. I wouldn't say that it was stole the show entirely.
Then what stole the show?
What night was that?
That was on night 1.
Of which one?
This year's WrestleMania.
Was it this year?
Yes.
Like for night 1, I'd say definitely was that Stone Cold.
That didn't steal the show. The main event cannot steal the show of a pay-per-view.
I don't know. It can do.
You expect the main event to be? That's why it's called the main event.
It's just holding on to the show. Then it's holding it tightly. It's stopping anyone else from stealing it. It's like, get away, people.
Sounds like somebody isn't willing to eat their crow the way I was earlier. That's what it sounds like.
so I'm just kicking everyone away that's trying to steal my show. Get away. My show.
Katie, it's just easier if you accept it and move on. I found this to be true over the years.
I can't do it.
Well, then
We
you.
can.
Then to quote another great Brit in one of his more famous movie roles, well, then you are lost.
Doesn't even know what that is.
Ewan McGregor in Star Wars Episode 3.
Oh, I like Ewan McGregor. I'm not a fan of Star Wars, but I like that fella.
Ewan
I like
McGregor.
the prequels. The prequels are probably my favourite Star Wars films, which is an unpopular opinion.
The prequels gave us Episode 3, and Episode 3 was one of my favorites.
I
Anyway.
think wrestling, though, getting back on topic, wrestling in general, it was nice. The audibles that were called in general over the pandemic time, I think wrestling survived well. It did good.
Yeah.
That's a positive thing to it.
I can't really think of any other major ones.
I mean, I've got one, but
anything else I could bring up would just be like, nitpicking at this point.
I've got one that was changed mid-match for a women's title, but I'll just briefly skip over it then, just to, honourable mention it. It was New Year's Revolution 2005, and it was Trish and Lita for the WWE Women's title. And Lita was supposed to win, but she injured a knee during the match. So Trish ended up winning. And that's when she went on for like 448-day women's title reign. The one that ended at WrestleMania against Mickie James with the infamous I'm not going to do it because I'm faster than that.
That's right. Lita was supposed to win that and then jacked her knee up. You're right.
And that arguably as well, what Mickie James did at WrestleMania was an audible as well, a personal one.
Oh, yeah.
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 That was
Speaking of audibles, that might be a good place to end it with.
Yeah, that's a perfect audible there.
Yeah.
Tasty.
Yeah. Anyway, moving right along. But yeah, thank you guys so much for going down our little rabbit hole of audibles today, because much like our conversation today, our respective days have been filled with audibles. So
I can't complain.
yay! So on behalf of these two cats, here's hoping that your tomorrow goes exactly as planned.
Yeah.
Oh, let's be honest. Here's hoping our tomorrows go exactly as planned.
Well, unless you're planning for it to go very negatively, then I hope it doesn't go as planned.
No, so
you get me.
Being a little bit more harsh about that. If your plan is for your tomorrow to go negatively, knock that shit off.
Yeah.
Knock that shit off. Or as I tell to my sweet lady, stop.
I'm worried about what Brian's hand was doing then. All I could see was like this. Oh, okay, cool. That's all right. Really.
I'm surprised you haven't called me out because I've been itching my forearm for like the last 10 minutes.
Oh, I could tell you were just rubbing your weenus. It's fine.
Big ass wiener.
Weenus, not wiener. Weenus is the name of the hard skin on the back of the elbow.
Oh, is that like the?
It's also a Friends reference.
Huh?
It's also a Friends reference.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Ah, see.
Okay.
How you know?
Chandler's job. I'm worried about the weenus. I don't like the projections of the weenus.
So how many episodes of Friends has Patrick seen? One.
What?
I didn't like the show.
How did you get to one and then stop?
I watched it because the girl I was dating thought it was the greatest show ever, and I watched it. I'm like, this is dumb.
Oh, it's very dumb. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
I didn't like it. You want to know how many episodes of Seinfeld I've seen? One.
I won't speak for Seinfeld. I don't know that one as well. I know it, but I haven't watched it as much.
One
You should
episode of Seinfeld.
you
Kenny
should
Rogers.
see
Kenny Rogers
af-
chicken.
after this, and also people online after this. Not now because we're on here. Go on YouTube and have a look for Ross on Friends without the laughing track as a psychopath, and
Oh,
basically take out the laughing track, put in some scary music, and Ross, oh, he's a scary fella, especially when you're taking his sandwich.
that's amazing. I'm gonna have to find that.
It's great.
That's one of my favorite episodes, actually.
Yeah.
So
Go
before
for
we get
part
out
one.
of here, programming note, something that everybody might want to check out on Monday night. The premiere of the American Nightmare documentary on Peacock.
Oh, yeah. Heard a
Yeah.
lot of this.
And also, if you're into documentaries,
Mm.
there's also a great one on Netflix about the American gladiators.
Oh, I've watched that.
Oh
Most
my
of it.
God.
Is
First
that
of
on Netflix, or didn't ESPN do a 30 for 30 about it?
Yes.
Okay.
There's two different ones. ESPN did a 30 for 30, which was more or less kissing the ass of the creator of American Gladiators, and then
Oh,
Netflix did the real one.
Okay.
yeah.
Fair enough.
All the dirty, like,
And
real stuff, all the.
dude, it's yeah.
Yeah.
Have to check that.
Or it basically, though, that, when you're watching it, doesn't it just sound like you're watching, like, a documentary from wrestling?
Pretty much.
It really feels like it.
It
It's like all the same.
yeah, it feels like a documentary of like 80s wrestling.
Mm. So binge watching the current series of Dark Side of Wrestling, it's just steroids and alcohol abuse and pills and all that.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, pretty much.
Yeah, baby.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
That's what
seriously.
we get from this podcast, we rock stars, yo.
Yeah, man. Like,
You want to,
yeah.
you want to see Brian on the stripper pole, man? It's
It's a beautiful sight, man.
yeah, it's like art.
Rembrandt. Rembrandt.
Mm. And to be fair, everyone else, me especially, ends up creating a Jackson Pollock from it. Art humor. Cultured humor. Mm.
Oh, that's what I've been needing all night was that one great laugh. God, I love you, man.
I knew
Uh,
you'd be a fan of cultured humor.
yes, yes. And while Brian is slowly melting into his chair, just thinking, oh, good God, I almost made it through this show without anything like this happening. And, and these two dumbasses just had to keep talking, didn't they?
I find it hard not to.
So do I. And
Mm.
sadly enough, Brian, after all of these years, still isn't used to it. So, B, let me ask you a question. As my best friend, have you just not grown accustomed to it? Or are you actually hoping beyond hope that maybe one day I'll actually grow the hell up?
You'll change. You're gonna change him.
I'll take option number 2, Bob.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Hey, you know what? Guys, that's the mark of a great best friend because you know what? He never gives up on me.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be honest with your best mates as well. Like, I'll kick my best mate when he's doing something like he shouldn't be doing.
Oh, dude, I have I have given that gentleman in the Hogwarts t-shirt some hell over the years. Um,
What
yeah,
you do. It's what you
but
should
you
do.
know what? But you know what? To tell you the quality of human being that Brian Aloysius Krigo is, somehow, either it's the quality of a human being or the fact that he's just completely insane. I'm guessing option one instead of option two. He still puts up with my ass. I
Put
still
up with
get
what?
invited.
It's true.
I still get invited to dinner every once in a while with him and his lovely wife, and I get to deal with his niece and nephew, and their whole family, and you know what? None of them hate me. So you know what? that tells you the kind of person that Brian Aloysius Krigo is.
And if you ever want to offer me dinner as well, then I will happily take it in a box and sent over via FedEx.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that'll work.
We'll have our staff get on that.
Yeah, cool. I'll have my staff wait over it and prepare it for me. Because ain't my hands going to be doing no
since the
common
other two
people
don't seem
work.
to want to, I will happily call an audible and bring this week's episode of Wrestling with Egos to a close before anything else untoward happens. Because I know the value of getting out while you still can.
That's what she said.
Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for watching this week's episode of Wrestling with Egos or listening to it, however you're consuming it on all of our podcast platforms. Don't be afraid to reach out to the show, wrestlingwithegos@gmail.com. Thank you so much for all your support. Leave us a 5-star review, like and share, and spread the word. Subscribe if you haven't already done so on whatever platform you are consuming us on.
Yeah.
Remember, dignity, always dignity.
Oh yeah, that's how I live my life, man.
Get out while you still have a chance. That's what she said.
Yeah. Said the joke the second time. Cool.
Well, Brian didn't react the first time.
Yeah.
He still has to react.
Now, I'm still waiting for you to hit the stop recording button, and
Oh, you're waiting for that? Okay.
Yeah. Wait.
Wait.
And that is why we love wrestling.
Wabadoo.
Wabadoo. Yeah.